Time now for the morning rush. We are learning more about the conditions at CYFD. This comes after a young boy in the department's care is claiming that he was raped. APD says that they were called out to the Albuquerque CYFD building back in December for a sexual abuse call. A recently released report said a staff member found a 10-year-old boy and a 14-year-old and foster child in the same bathroom stall together. The 10-year-old told officers that he had been raped. CYFD is now conducting an investigation into the incidents.
West Mesa students are asking the school board to add security on campus because they don't feel safe. In the last year, a student was shot and killed by another student just off campus. A gun went off in class, and another student was caught with a gun that was confiscated. Last month, West Mesa teachers spoke to the school board saying they also feel unsafe in the classroom.
Actor Alec Baldwin and armor Hannah Gutierrez-Reed are set to make their first court appearances. Those appearances will be held remotely on February the 24th. They both are charged with involuntary manslaughter in the shooting death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of the movie Rust. Erica.
And here's a look at our school day forecast. 22 this morning, a very cold start to the day, so wear your winter layers. We are going to see sunshine today, but still a bit cool, highs at 50 degrees.
Jesse Parra, the teen accused of killing an Albuquerque Academy senior at a house party in December, will remain behind bars until trial. Judge Lucy Solomon said that Parra's alleged behavior that night and his apparent access to guns would make him a risk even with court supervision.
Meanwhile, Jesse Parra's defense raised questions about the adults who were at the party. According to the criminal complaint, the parents of the 18-year-old girl who threw the party were there during the shooting and may have been drinking alongside the teens. Those parents are not facing any charges.
An Albuquerque family is asking questions this morning about a mother who was taken too soon. Lynette Garcia was on her way home from work at the Route 66 casino early Friday morning when she was killed in a crash near Dennis Chavez and Unser. The driver took off on foot, leaving behind what turned out to be a stolen car. That driver is still at large. Erica.
And here's a look at our threat index. It is lower today as we do have some fog and freezing fog in Roswell, Artesia, and Carlsbad. And it's a very cold morning across the north. Be sure to wear your warm layers.
The FBI conducted a planned search of the president's beach home in Delaware as part of its ongoing investigation into the mishandling of classified documents. The president's attorney said that no documents with classified markings were found, but some materials and handwritten notes from his time as vice president were taken.
President Biden says he invited House Speaker Kevin McCarthy to the White House to discuss a range of issues, but most pressing is the need for Congress to raise the debt limit so the U.S. can continue to pay its bills. The Treasury Department says it can hold off defaulting on America's debt until about June, giving both sides a little more time to negotiate.
Nearly 26 million Americans across the South are under winter weather alerts. In Texas, at least 8 deaths are blamed on the unforgiving ice storm that knocked out power to hundreds of thousands. At the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, nearly 75% of the flights were canceled. The National Weather Service says more freezing rain is expected today in Texas. Erica.
And here's a look at traffic. The maps are clear this morning. No major accidents or slowdowns to report. And Trekker is heading north on I-25 near Lead and Coal. Everything is moving at speed here.
In Michigan, a 6-year-old boy with a big appetite and an even bigger wallet placed nearly $1,000 worth of Grubhub orders on his dad's phone. On Saturday night, Keith Stonehouse gave his phone to his son Mason so he could play, but little Mason was not playing a game. He was actually placing an order after order on Grubhub. Mason also had a generous spirit and left a 25% tip on each of those deliveries. Grubhub did get wind of what happened and offered a $1,000 gift card to help with Mason's bill.
5 facts.
At number 5 this morning, Little League organizers are teaming up with some special landscapers to make sure that the fields are ready for the upcoming season. Mile High Little League partnered with Galloping Goat to clean up the field. 280 goats were used to eat the dead brush, tumbleweeds, and some other weeds to clean up the field. Organizers say that their volunteer numbers are low and the goats help with the lack of manpower.
At number 4, 2 historic Albuquerque neighborhoods are being highlighted in a city-made documentary. It's the 7th film in the series, Neighborhoods at a Crossroads. Its focus is on explaining how the South Broadway and Kirtland community neighborhoods grew to become 2 of the city's multicultural hubs. The film will screen for free at the South Broadway Cultural Center on February 9th.
And at number 3, it is going to be a cool day out there. Temperatures this morning are starting in the low 20s and will warm into the low 50s by the afternoon, but we will be seeing sunshine, which will help.
At number 2, the teen accused of a deadly house party shooting will remain behind bars until trial. Investigators have not made it clear who fired the shot that killed Jada Gonzalez at a house party near Central in Atrisco in December. According to a criminal complaint, a group of young men, including 19-year-old Jesse Parra, was kicked out of the party after they flashed guns around. Police say one or more of them opened fire on the house as they left, killing Gonzalez. But Judge Lucy Solomon said that Parra's alleged behavior that night and his apparent access to guns would make him a risk even with court supervision.
And at number 1, we are learning more about the conditions at CYFD. This comes after a young boy in the department's care claimed that he was raped while on the department's property. APD says that they were called out to the Albuquerque CYFD building back in December for a sexual abuse call. Now, a recently released report said that a staff member found a 10-year-old boy and a 14-year-old foster child in the same bathroom stall, both with their pants down. CYFD's Cabinet Secretary Barbara J.V. Hill said in a statement that there is both an internal and external investigation into that incident.